Hello friends, welcome to the Southern Mountain Kitchen. Today we're going to make a chocolate Reese's Cup dump cake. So what you see on my counter is literally all you're going to need to make this, with the exception if you wanted to use some non-stick cooking spray on the dish you're putting this in. Otherwise, this is it, and this can't be a simpler thing to make. But I warn you, this is really rich, it's really sweet tasting, and like you can see, it's going to be filled with some Reese cups and a little bit of Hershey bar and basically a pudding mix, a cake mix, and then some milk. And that's really all you're using to make this. But the best thing about it is it has such a really wonderful taste. And if you serve this warm or hot, it really is the best time to eat this, because when you're getting it and it's like warm to hot tasting and put something like some whipped cream or some chocolate syrup over top of this, you are in business for a really sweet dessert. And if you have something for Reese cups or chocolate, this is for you. And it's such a wonderful thing to make, and it's easy. So what you're gonna need is multiples of candy. Now I had one of those 12 packs of Reese cups, and then I just had like 4 of these little Hershey bars laying around. I'm only adding the Hershey into it just to give a little breakup of a different kind of chocolate with this. And then there are the Reese cups. Now you're going to cut these Hershey bars into like 4. You're going to take the Reese cups and cut them into 4 as well. Probably the longest process in this whole thing besides baking is actually opening up all the candy. But once you get the candy out and get it opened up, then you're just going to go ahead and just cut it up until you get these all ready to roll. Now when you are baking this, you're going to need at least an 8.5 by 11 baking dish. I would stick to something around that size, because you want this to stay kind of on the thick side, because the bigger the dish, the thinner this is going to end up when you're done. Because when you're baking this up, it's not going to bake up really huge. It's just going to bake up like if you were making brownies or something. And this kind of has a little bit of a consistency of a brownie, but a gooey kind, because all this chocolate is going to mix with what you've already got in it, because you're starting out basically making a pudding and adding cake mix to it and then adding in this chocolate. So you know it's going to be gooey in the center. That really has an amazing taste to it when you're eating it, because there's a lot of chocolate mixing together to make the inside of this, and it tastes good. And you'll notice when you're eating it though, you're going to hit the peanut butter pieces that are floating in the top of this, and mixing the chocolate with the peanut butter, it's just really wonderful. So 8.5 by 11 dish. Make sure that if you want to make sure it doesn't stick, non-stick cooking spray, just make sure that you've got it there, and just coat it really well with it, because even though we're going to mix this up in the dish that's going to bake in, the cooking spray helps it not to stick so much, because once you get it onto the actual, because I use a glass dish to do this, once you get it onto the glass, or you get it on whatever you're using, it's going to stop this mix from really taking up shop and sitting there and like gluing to the sides. So when my candy was all cut up, it looked something like this. And there's a lot. And if you're counting, yes, I ate a Reese cup when I was doing this. But anyway, it doesn't matter in the end. So, like I said, spray your dish, like you see mine right here. And then we're going to start by pouring into this a regular pudding mix. Now this is just the chocolate kind you get right off the shelf. It just says straight out milk chocolate pudding. Regular size, nothing big about it. And we're going to put that whole thing in there, and then we're going to add 1 3/4 cups of milk. And once it's in, we're going to take like a whisk or whatever you got and start mixing this up, because you want to mix this before we even get near the cake mix. So go ahead, stir it up, get it around to all the sides, the bottom, and everything. Make sure you get this all mixed up into the milk. Now as you see, it's pretty easy to mix this up at this point, because pudding mix mixes into the milk really easily. It's not a big deal. When you go to put the cake mix in, that's when it's going to get kind of interesting to make it mix up, because it's a little stiff. Now sometimes cake mixes have a little more in than the others. I used a straight out cake mix that just said it was a milk chocolate cake mix. You can use whatever kind of chocolate you want, but when you pour this in, if it's a little stiff and a little hard to move, you could probably add, you know, a little tiny bit of milk extra to it to get it to mix up. But go ahead and do the same thing you're doing with the pudding mix, and mix it up with a whisk or whatever, and just work your way all the way around it until you work it all together. Mine actually mixed together without adding anything extra to it, and it looks like this, and it's very stiff, but that's the way it's supposed to be. And then you're going to take all that candy and distribute it over the top of your mix. And this is going to take a minute, so just keep going ahead, move it over, putting it on top. But somewhere along the way, you're going to have to preheat your oven to 350 degrees, because this is going to be in your oven probably from 30 to 35 minutes. Now, everybody's oven is a little different. Some get hotter than others, some don't heat up as much. So I would say check it at the 30-minute marker, and if you need more time, leave it in there a little while longer. 35 minutes is not a problem. And if you have an oven that really stays cooler, you may aim to go like maybe 40 minutes on this. That's okay, but just keep checking it. And the great thing about it is, as this is cooking, the candy on top doesn't melt down all that much. It literally will hold its form, and that's the best thing about it, because when you bring it back, it's still going to be in the shape that it's in. It's not going to sink all the way to the bottom. It's not going to, you know, totally like disintegrate. It's actually going to be on top of it. It looks pretty cool, because you have these little bits of the Reese's cups and the Hershey bars sticking up above the cake when it comes back out after it's done. So it's really a cool thing. So just go ahead and keep working these out. Distribute them as evenly as possible across the top, because you don't want like one corner that doesn't have candy on it or whatever. So just do the best you can with that and keep going for it. And when your oven is up to temperature, once you've got all of this on there, go ahead and put it in. However, make sure your oven is hot first, because you don't want it to go into a cooler oven and just sit there forever, because then the bottom part of this isn't going to bake right. So, as you can see, I've almost gotten all my chocolate on top. And yes, that is a lot of candy on top of this cake. But it's like, you don't have to eat a huge piece of this at a time, if you know what I mean. But as I said, this is best when served warm. So, if you get it cold, it's probably not going to have the same effect as if this were warm. Now, mind you, if this has been sitting out, you could always stick it in the microwave and warm it up a little bit to suit your taste and get it warmer. So, now all of this candy is on top. We're going to get ready for the oven. And when I turn this around for you to see, you will see how much there's a lot of candy on top of this, I swear. But if you have a sweet tooth, this works. And this is what it looked like when it came back from the oven. So, here you go. This is it. And like I said, you could add some like whipped cream on top of it, a little Hershey's chocolate syrup on top, and then this is what it's going to look like. And this has the best taste, especially when it's warm. It's just a great thing to eat. I hope you liked this video, and if you did, please like and subscribe. And if you get a chance, check out the Southern Mountain Kitchen website, where you can get a free recipe, check out the cookbooks available from the Southern Mountain Kitchen, and if you'd like to, you could order a cookbook at a discounted price, cheaper than Amazon, with shipping that is also cheaper than Amazon. So if you get a chance, check it out, and I hope you have a great day.